or bitte. And all the best.
Thank you. All
to
the best
the European
for
Parliament,
for you in
for
Greece.
us, for everybody. Η Ρεμπέκα Χάρμς, συμπρόεδρος των Οικολόγων Πρασίνων εδώ στο Ευρωπαϊκό Κοινοβούλιο με τον Ντάνιελ Κον-Μπεντίτ, είναι λιγότερο γνωστή από τον Γάλλο πολιτικό. Δεν στερείται όμως ούτε γνώσης και γνώμης ούτε παρησίας. Θα το διαπιστώσουμε γνωρίζοντας την καλύτερα απόψε, συζητώντας μαζί της για θέματα οικονομίας, για την Ευρώπη, σαφώς για το περιβάλλον, για την πυρηνική ενέργεια.
Μας λέτε διάφορα εδώ για την ανάπτυξη και την απασχόληση. Αυτά όλα έχω δει ότι δεν λαμβάνω σοβαρά υπόψη. Ξέρω να διαβάζω, ξέρω να μετράω και να κάνω υπολογισμούς. Πού είναι αυτές οι θέσεις απασχόλησης επιτέλους? Πού είναι τα χρήματα στα οποία θα βασιστούν οι δηλώσεις σας αυτές? Εγώ δεν το βρίσκω να υπάρχει τίποτα. Ας ρίξει κανένας μια ματιά στην Ελλάδα, μια ματιά στην Πορτογαλία. Ο κίνδυνος αναμετάδοσης θα πρέπει να ξέρει ο καθένας τι χρειάζεται η Ελλάδα. Έναν επίτροπο για εξοικονομήσεις, άλλον Ευρωπαίο τεχνοκράτη δηλαδή, που έχει εντάξει εκεί μια τεχνητή κυβέρνηση. Στη χώρα αυτή θέλουν άλλον επίτροπο από πάνω. Χρειάζονται επιτέλους μια ειλικρινή ανάλυση οι Έλληνες και μια αναγνώριση του προγράμματος κατά της ύφεσης για να μπορέσουν να έχουν ένα καλύτερο μέλλον. Χρειάζεται στην ενέργεια, στην υποδομή νέα προγράμματα. Είναι έτοιμα τα προγράμματα αυτά. Θα μπορούσαν ευρωπαϊκές επιχειρήσεις να επενδύσουν στην Ελλάδα. Μιλάμε για έναν επίτροπο για οικονομίες, για λιτότητα, αντί να συζητάμε με τους Έλληνες για την Ελλάδα της αύριον. Αντί να ενθαρρύνουμε τους Έλληνες. Αυτό πραγματικά είναι το ναδύρ της όλης της συζήτησης, ότι έτσι μεταξύ άλλων αναφέρθηκε και η Ελλάδα. Ντράπηκα πραγματικά για αυτά που άκουσα και διάβαζα, κύριε Φαν Ρομπόι.
Mrs. Rebecca Harms, welcome to our show. Thank you for your time on a busy plenary day. The economic crisis, among other things, has unveiled the greatest weakness of Europe, notably the well-known gap between the North and the South. It has also given rise to stereotypes, to the re-rise of the stereotypes. Greece has been bad-mouthed. The Germans have been paralleled to their worst selves. How harmful is this for Europe, for the peoples of Europe?
So first of all, I think it was high time that Europe discovered those gaps you have mentioned. So those gaps between the North and the South. I would add also some gaps between the West and the East. Because I think some of the problems Greece is facing since some years, meanwhile, some of those problems are or can develop in a similar way in the East. And this is because the Europeans, the European Council, also the European Parliament, for a certain time did not like to think about common problems. They thought about common success, and they wanted to see the success story of the European Union. I agree that this is also a success story, but the success will remain only a common success if we are also facing problems in the European Union.
We have to make provisions, you mean, for a potential crisis, and the thought was never there. That's what you mean.
So I think what we discover now, for example, in the
has always been there.
Yeah. So the problem with public debts is not existing since yesterday, and it's also not only a problem in Greece. I think in Greece the biggest problem not in the focus of European public and European politics is the problems of the way how the state of Greece is functioning. What I always found very astonishing when I visited Greece in these times of crisis was that I had no clue before that this idea of a European state, which is a good relation also between the citizens and the government, the citizens and the authorities, the civil servants, etc., that this idea in Greece sounded a little bit strange. And I think for Greece, if there's one good thing, is that now the Greeks, not because of the pressure from Germany, but because they want it, they can to go for a better functioning of a kind of new Greece.
It was high time for us to discover.
But Europe could have
weaknesses.
given attention to this before.
Yes, you are one of the people that have repeatedly said in the Parliament that Europe has been too late for too many important things.
But so not only in Greece, but also, for example, in Hungary, in Ireland, we saw problems developing, and there was no intervention. And sometimes it's because of...
Where do you attribute it? That's the question. Why hasn't there been intervention?
Or for example, sometimes because the president of the Commission comes from the same political family as the minister president of a country, a member state in trouble. And then they back their political friends instead
it's another kind of solidarity.
Instead of worrying about whether this is good for the citizens in the member state concerned.
So Europe has been late in addressing the economic crisis. It took too much talk, too much thinking for what I wonder, since there's few experts around here, to devise the mechanism. Do you think is it already enough what Europe is doing, or is this mechanism perfect or even good enough?
So thinking back to all steps which Europe has taken for Greece, to help Greece, I agree with what you said, and I see it until today a big problem. Always the European Union decided very late, or you can even say too late, with the help for Greece. And again, the steps taken have been too small steps. And the same problem I see with the ESM, with the European Fund, how do you call it? ESM?
Support mechanism.
With the European support mechanism. It's a very technical term. So this
Too many
fund,
of these terms, in fact.
from our green point of view, it should be kind of firewall. There must be that much money in it that all speculation activities from the markets against member states should not make sense, because we send the clear signal. We will stand to each member state in case you are attacking it again. And so until today, we are in favor of this mechanism, but we see again the problem, it's not enough money in it. This firewall function will not be achieved by this sum which shall now be contributed.
You know, a good part of the public opinion in my country feels, or fears if you want, that these bailout packages are addressed more to the banks rather to the common man. What do you answer to that? So
one of the critiques I have raised again and again is that obviously right now the European Council trusts more in the banks than in the countries. And I think especially for Greece, this is creating more and new problems. Because, for example, these only one-sided approach to tackle the crisis in Greece, only focused on austerity, we know already now that it does not work, because after a certain time of real tremendous fight in Greece against the public debt, we see in the end you had more debt than before, because there was not in the same time income for the state organized. So the European program worsened the situation of Greece and worsened the debt situation of Greece. We, since a long time, are really campaigning in the European Parliament towards the member states, towards the Council and the Commission, that there must be a kind of anti-recession plan, a powerful plan to help Greece to develop new growth, new economic activities, because so if this vicious cycle continues, then all the help so far was nuts. Yeah, it's going into
wasted. Really,
it's really
not going a problem. To the real economy.
What I would really like, because we are going to visit Greece during
at the end of this month, right?
Yes, and we are going to have many meetings, Mr. Kuhn-Bendit and me. And what I would really like is to find in Greece some people who stand up and say, okay, we are on a very, very, very bad situation, but we want now to take responsibility for our country. We are, with our enterprises, with our knowledges, so we are going to make the plan how to do what in Greece to have what we would like most, green growth, sustainable development, and then we could try to find counterparts in the European Union, in other member states, to say, so let's go for some new development in Greece.
Could you give me an idea of what green development would be, what shape it would take in Greece?
We could
solar energy, I'm sure there's plenty of that.
It's not only solar energy, so it's, I think, much more connected to the energy sector. But if you have a look on our official European plan for development for the next 10 years, the so-called EU 2020 roadmap, or whatever they call it, so this strategy shows that sustainable development in several economic areas can happen. In the focus is in all the countries the energy sector. And in Greece, you need anyway innovation in this sector. You need not only some solar installations or some bigger solar energy installations like Desertec projects, wind farms, etc. You need also adequate infrastructure. And so I would also prefer not only to go for the production side, but in the same time to make it sustainable, to go for the efficiency side. So to combine the development of the two pillars, energy efficiency and energy renewable, this could really very, very soon contribute to a good development in Greece.
You said soon, but I was wondering, listening to your good thoughts, how long that would take.
Yeah, this is what I said during the last debates. So we saw already 60,000 enterprises, small and medium-sized enterprises in Greece have given up. What an alarm signal. It cannot be worse. And so therefore, I'm urging the Commission and others in Brussels not to wait longer, not only to talk about an investment plan or Hercules plan or Marshall Plan or whatever, but to become concrete. So what are we going when? How we are getting the money, how we are finding our partners in industry and economy, because it cannot only happen by the state. It cannot only be carried by the state.
It's too huge.
Yes, and also what's very important, we need Greek partners for this, because it will not be an imperial, it should not be
exactly.
an imperial approach
that
from
is
Brussels.
One of the fears of the Greek public opinion, that this term, development and growth, equals foreign investment by foreigners. So I think the Greeks need to be reassured that they have a part to play in this, and the biggest part, isn't it? Because as you said,
it's for themselves, for the future, and there will be still difficult times. I would not like to lie about this, but I'm convinced that Greeks can do it, and that they need backing, but that they have to drive it.
Listening to what you're saying, I feel that this would restore the honor of Europe to the eyes of the Greeks. And I wonder whether the European Parliament is doing enough to restore the honor of Europe. Is its voice heard? Is it loud enough? Or is it just the Commission, the Council, the governments, the Eurogroup? How present is the European Parliament in what is happening, in what is being decided? I know it's not potent enough, but supposedly after the Lisbon Treaty, it is stronger. But is it really?
So we hoped that after Lisbon Treaty in place, the Parliament would be a major player for European decisions. But right now we are facing the situation that we are more and more sidelined as a European Parliament. This happens also because many of the issues which have to be decided around those financial problems, the financial crisis, many of those problems are not really in our competences in Brussels, are not really, if you look on the treaties, out of the main impact of the member states. And so the Eurozone, since ever, is an own institution in between the
kind
European
of financial
institutions.
Vatican.
Yes, and this separation of responsibilities and powers is still more severe since the member states, the Council, decided on the fiscal compact, this new pact focused only on austerity and
Stability.
on reducing public debt. It's
the same philosophy, more or less. I don't find it extremely new, is it?
For me, it's still an act against Europe. So I'm not against solidity. I'm maybe also because I'm German, but there are
we shouldn't
others.
lose count. That's true.
So I think solidity matters. Yeah, solidity matters. But so for Europe, solidarity and democracy matters in the same time, and the fiscal compact is in conflict with what we have developed as ideas around solidarity and democracy in Europe.
Is Europe strong enough on a global level? I mean, we detect real problems of very low growth in Europe, in Greece, absolutely. But is Europe competitive enough? Is it a strong player in the world?
So we will see what the future brings. But if I look onto the problems in the United States, the troubles the dollar might have, also another famous currency, the yen in Japan. So if we compare ourselves with those countries, or United States
well,
more.
The growing economies.
So
the BRICS,
they are
what about
really
them too?
Yeah, but so also the United States has member states in real problems. They are not doing better than we are doing. Japan is in a deep crisis. So it's not yet really in the minds of the Europeans. And so Europe can do it as well as those countries. Our currency currency is not worse than those currencies.
It's quite strong
but
enough.
It depends. Yes, we are strong. If you see what was the relation €1, $1 when we started with the common currency, now it's even better than in the beginning, still better in this deep crisis. So I would not really worry. My only worries are that in some of the member states, the trust in the common European idea is not strong enough.
Why is that?
Why is that? This is a very good question. So, because I'm still convinced that if you look back in our common history, we have managed that many ways out of crisis, starting in the middle of the last century after two very, very bad wars with my country in the very, very negative responsible role for this. So we have managed to make something in Europe out of this with nobody would have believed in 45 that this would be possible. We managed to overcome the split of the continent, which was still the outcome of the Second World War. We managed also before financial crisis. I don't know why people think that this time the markets will be successful against the European Union.
Me neither, but you know, it's in the mouth of almost everyone in Greece that somehow the markets hold hostage the political class. Everywhere, really. So that has to be fixed, and I don't know how easy that could be. We need a real, rearrangement of things, and I don't know how easy this fix would be.
So there are some proposals always on the table how to reorganize economic governance in Europe. I trust in those ideas, but we need the will of the people, also the citizens, to fight for those common ideas. And all ideas about renationalization are, I would say, in the end, not leading into a better situation, but into a worse situation. So, and maybe this is too much, but I think in Greece, I know, facing the troubles you have now, facing the wrong approaches by Brussels also, pushed by several member states, also my own member states, facing all this, it's very maybe strange to hear that I say trust in Europe, but this
Europe
trust
is a big thing. It's not just one group.
Yes,
or
it's much
two
more.
Loud voices. It's a much larger thing, right?
Yeah, but it's also if you look back, so national ideas never helped.
Right. A good idea here in the Parliament. It was backed by the Parliament. In fact, was the financial transaction tax.
Yes.
It was a report by Mrs. Podimata. I don't know why it's not moving. This thing is not moving.
No, it's not right to say it's not moving, but it's not moving fast enough.
Yeah.
And I'm still
it is blocked
full
by
of hope. No, it's not
one
only
country
blocked.
at least.
It's the UK. But I saw that now also Mr. Schäuble, German finance minister, so I know in Greece he's not the most beloved person, and I can understand it. Yeah, but he's moving the idea to make this a tax in the Eurozone. And so Sarkozy is backing this. We have a proposal of the European Commission already on our table. And I think the more people say we make this a tax in the Eurozone countries, the more countries this approach are buying, the better. And sometimes those projects need long time to happen. But
because they are resisted by very
by the markets,
players.
But it's interesting that this issue is followed, especially by Mr. Schäuble. He knows.
It's a good idea.
Mr. Schäuble knows that his approach is not balanced yet. He knows also the weak points on regulation of financial markets. And this financial transaction tax could also contribute against the ongoing will of the markets to speculate.
Exactly. And a lot of money could be made for growth.
Yes.
Isn't it one of the...
This is one of our ideas.
Of the aims.
To take this money to help anti-recession programs. Yes, green growth or green transformation with the income from the financial transaction tax sounds a little bit like a green dream, but so we are closer than 2 years ago.
What about those rating agencies? There was talk of creating European rating agencies. This talk has been going on and off for a long time. I'm
open for this idea. I like it because for me it's not convincing that 3 agencies based in the United States are doing the judgment like they are doing it. I saw that in
standard
those cases
and poor judgments.
So in case they do a negative judgment on the United States, then the director is disappearing, and there is a change in the board of those agencies. So they obviously are also in the United States not really independent. And for Europe, so I'm not in favor of having an agency which is guided by the state. So there must be an independency of those agencies. And what for me is very important is that they do their judgments fair, not only when it comes to the states, but also on the banks. Because it's often obvious that they are more strict with the states and their problems than with the banks.
As well as that they're not clear at all.
Yes.
I'll come to the environment, which is closest to your heart, I'm sure.
I'm agreeing.
Do you feel that the economic crisis is taking its toll on the environment? I mean, is Europe saving on money, is not putting enough on this?
So one issue to measure this for me is the climate issue. It's a big concern among the Greens in Europe that the climate issue is disappearing in the times of financial and economic crisis. It's very bad for the development of the climate problems. So far, we had on a global level no success with reductions, so the global emissions are growing. Many countries are suffering already from the impacts of the global warming effects. And for Europe, we are, so in the south it's even more severe already, but overall, the Europeans feel a little bit safer than, for example,